Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakahak Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in 2nd Esdras chapter 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And that's exactly what the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, as well as the brothers that come in the spirit of GMS are doing by reading the scriptures and watching the news, and then filtering the news through the scriptures to go out onto the highways and byways to preach this word, as well as put up video epistles like this to let the people on this earth know of the times they're living in, these prophetic times, these times of the end of this current age of the rulership of the heathen nations, chiefly of the biblical Edomites, or these so-called white people, before the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven under the true children of Israel, known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today, and of course, the second coming of Yahawashi, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ, the Son of the Most High. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, visit it and judge you people for all the wickedness you've been committing, chiefly the wicked of our people who are hard-headed and refuse to return under their power, and you Edomites who are currently in control of the planet right now and have turned most of it into a giant trash can, a trap house. You do everything clean contrary to the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahasham Yahawashi in the scriptures. Verse 3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, and that verse 3 is dealing with some of the end time signs that would be taking place to let you know exactly what times you're living in. And we can see that there are earthquakes taking place damn near daily all across the planet in varying levels of intensity. Hey, there are earthquakes taking place as we speak, and uproars of the people in the world. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. And if the spirit of Yahweh Bahasham Yahawashi is on you, and your spiritual eyes and ears have been opened, you can clearly see that the end is manifesting right before our eyes. And in this video, I'll be dealing with that end time sign of uproars of the people in the world, just to show exactly what times we're living in. Because of course you know what's taking place in France right now. Those major protests all across the country, which have been getting more and more intense. And it's gotten to the point to where protesters have even attacked the homes of some of France's political officials. This is an article from Reuters.com titled, Rioters Assault Home of French Mayor, Injure His Wife. Rioters raided the home of a Paris suburb mayor, set the car alight, and launched fireworks at his wife and young children as they fled during the fifth night of nationwide unrest over Tuesday's police shooting of a teen of North African descent. Uproars of the people. And besides this, those people over in France have been constantly in a state of uproar. You had them protesting over France's pension reforms, and then before that, you had the Yellow Vest protests. And protests are going to continue in France, and protests are going to pop up in all these other countries, which they already are doing, and only intensify, especially in the United States of America, because again, we are living in these end times where all these different governments are in a state of turmoil. Their people are seeing that their political officials aren't for their best interests, so they're going to start fighting back. And we're seeing an example of people disregarding their political figures with these rioters attacking the home of a Paris suburb mayor and even going after his wife and children. And it's also a part of biblical prophecy for the people not to regard their political figures and go after them. This is 2 Esdras chapter 15. I'm going to start at verse 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Civil unrest. And that one people standing up and fighting against another goes into a whole host of things. One race of people standing up and fighting against another. One class of people, the rich versus the poor, going against each other. The average everyday person going against those in the government. Political ideologies, liberal versus conservative, left versus right. Age disparities with the younger generations going against the older generations, etc., etc. A free-for-all, as it says, with swords in their hands. And I've seen some clips of what's going on over in Twitter, and you got people using, firecrackers, Molotov cocktails. And I even saw one video where some rioters were shooting AK-47s into the air. And especially when these protests break off over in the United States of America due to what? The declining economic situation, people being divided at all levels, a whole host of issues. They're really going to be banging those swords over here because the modern day sword is that gun. But here's the main point I wanted to get into in verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men. And that word sedition means conduct or speech inciting open rebellion against a ruling authority or monarch and invading one another. And they shall not regard their kings nor princes. And your modern day kings and princes are those in the government. Mayors, governors, senators, presidents, prime ministers, etc., etc. And as we're reading in that article, we're seeing over in France right now, they're not regarding their kings nor princes and invading one another. They rammed that car into that Paris suburb mayor's house and even shot fireworks at his wife and children. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Oh, Slovakia. Vincent Jabrun, 39, the center-right mayor of the southern suburb La Haye Roses, was at the town hall when his house was attacked with his wife Melanie and children asleep inside. The aggressors drove their vehicle at the suburban house, but were halted by a low wall hanging the property's outdoor terrace, the local public prosecutor said. They then torched their vehicle. They shall not regard their kings nor princes in invading one another. As Jean Brun's wife and children, aged 5 and 7, took flight through the backyard, they were targeted with fireworks. Jean told Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne his wife had surgery to a broken leg and faced 3-month rehabilitation. While attempting to shield them and fleeing the attackers, my wife and one of my children were hurt, the mayor said. And they expect to see more instances of people going after these political figures in the government, because people are starting to wake up to the fact that those in the government don't have their best interests at heart. And they're taking their orders from the higher ups, the elites, and they're on board with that NW0 agenda, that GREATRESET. So, blood will flow through the streets of these different cities all across the planet. Blood of the citizens and blood of these government officials. And I always reference a video I did about 1.5 years ago showing that in the United States of America, with each successive year, the threats towards U.S. politicians is intensifying in number. And the other month I did a video showing that a growing number of Americans on both sides of the political spectrum believe that political violence is the only way to save democracy and achieve their goals. That's it with this article. Now we'll go to a second article on yahoo.com titled France Riots Live. Children as young as 12 detained for attacking police amid Paris protests. Children as young as 12 or 13 have been detained for attacking law enforcement, not regarding their kings nor princes, because a part of that are the authorities that uphold the system, like the police or the military, and setting fires during 6 nights of violence after the fatal police shooting of 17-year-old Nahel Mazork in suburban Paris. And like I said, that one people going against another goes into a lot of things, including one generation against another generation. The younger generations are seeing that the older generations, your boomers, sold out their future so that they can live comfortably. So now a lot of them are talking shit towards the boomers. Hey, they're going to start attacking those in the older generation as well. As we see in France, children as young as 12 and 13 are getting in on the festivities going on over there. The average age of 3,354 people arrested over the past week was 17, the Interior Minister, Gerald Darmanin, said. And with this young age of protesters, rioters over in France, that makes me think about how bad things are going to be over in the United States of America when there's just anarchy, civil unrest ruling in the streets, because we see amongst the teenagers of our people, especially you so-called Negroes, a lot of them are jack boys, gangbangers and all that, robbing people, killing each other, killing other people. And that's while society still has some semblance of a civil order. You wait until that civil order falls apart, you're going to see these young Israelites out there really going buck wild. As it says in Isaiah chapter 19, the land of Judah shall be a terror unto the Egyptians and shall make them afraid. And that's not talking about the ancient Egyptians, which were Hamites or so-called Africans, the tribe of Mizraim. That's talking about those modern day spiritual Egyptians as pursuant to Revelation 11 verse 8, these American Edomites. But that's it with this article. But as we can clearly see, there's an uproar of the people in the world, and it's only going to intensify as we get closer and closer to all hell completely breaking loose and the second coming of Yahushua. And another thing I found interesting was that apparently over in France right now, some people have been releasing the animals from the zoo. And it's a part of biblical prophecy that there would be wild animals around, not being in their natural habitat, so to speak, and attacking people. That's another part of biblical judgment from Jacob's trouble, people getting torn to pieces by animals. And when we play this clip, you're going to see it's not just some petting zoo animals that were released out of jail. Well, the zoo, the zoo is a jail for animals. It's some very exotic animals, so to speak. But this was posted on Tazadak Zion Forever's Instagram page. And this clip has a little bit of music in it, so I'm going to say this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
Voilà, je suis au Kenya. Voilà, je suis au Kenya, les gars. Tête de homme, un zèbre. Au bout, il y a une girafe. Wesh.
C'est pas ma gueule. C'est quoi ce truc? Eh voilà, c'est moi le dernier qu'on met les gros là. Voilà, se balade dans le quartier. C'est moi, il y a des lions qui font.
Elephant. And you got the king of the jungle out. Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my.
Gorilla also escaped from Paris Zoo during riots.
Gorilla out there. And a gorilla has the strength of 10 men. You also saw that lion out there. And before they get those animals back in the zoo, they may very well attack some people. But, like I said, It's also part of biblical prophecy for these animals to be out where they're not supposed to be and attack people. This is back in the Apocrypha in 2 Esdras chapter 5, verse 8. There shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and minstrous women shall bring forth monsters, and an elephant, a lion, a gorilla, and a zebra are wild beasts, and as it says, they shall change their places. We saw a little example of that with what's going on over in France with those animals outside the zoo. And if you can remember, during the C-19 lockdowns of 2020 to 2021, with people being inside their houses, you started having animals come out from the wilderness, changing their places, and just roaming the streets. And during Jacob's trouble, these animals from the wilderness, as well as from the zoo, going to be doing the same thing, and there's going to be a spirit on them from Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, to attack people and maul people, rip them to pieces. This is Sirach or Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 39, verses 28 to 31. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. And remember what it said in 2 Esdras chapter 9. Hey, this is the time when the Most High will begin to visit the world which he made, visit you people on it, and judge you for your wickedness through the fire, hell, famine, and death, and those spirits created for vengeance, which are going to be on a lot of these wild animals out here that have changed their course, as it's about to say, teeth of wild beasts, claws and teeth of lions, bears, tigers, people getting, stampeded by some elephants, a pack of wild dogs fucking you up, and scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. And that sword, goes into a lot of things as well. Esau, Edom is the wicked. And as it says in Psalm 17, verse 13, the wicked is the sword of the Most High. The Most High is going to be using these Edomites through the elites, using those martial law troops, those UN troops, mercenaries, etc., to be patrolling the streets of these different cities and putting down people dead like dogs when they don't want to follow the curfews or the martial law orders. And swords, again, being literal swords like guns, the Most High putting the spirit of vengeance on people out here to start killing other people with purge-like behavior, etc. They shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon the earth when need is, and when their time has come, they shall not transgress his word. These spirits of vengeance on these different apparatuses of judgment out here are going to be pleased to follow the orders of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, and appease the wrath of him that made them. Once they get those spiritual marching orders, they are not going to stop until their mission is accomplished. And that's going to include killing a lot of you Israelites. Again, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, especially you 2/3 in America, for your hard-headedness and your wickedness, your refusal to return back unto your power, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, and wanting to live like these heathens, especially these goddamn Edomites. This is Jeremiah chapter 15. I'm going to start at verse 1. And what does the header say? Judgment must come. Then said Yahweh unto me, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be toward this people. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. The Most High sent Moses and Samuel, prophets, all the way down today. The Most High sending the prophets out onto the highways and byways to preach this word, as well as put up video epistles online to warn our people of the terrible times to come, to tell them that they are the children of Israel and what they need to do to appease their power, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, so that they can be protected from this judgment to come. But what do the majority of our people do? Scoff at this word, throw it behind their back, and if they could, just like their forefathers and foremothers did, put the prophets to death. But hey, this is the last go around. You wicked jakes won't have your chance with the prophets this time. This is the time for you to get judged and put to death. Yet my mind could not be toward this people. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Hey, when hell is breaking loose out here, or the situation just continues to deteriorate, a lot of y'all, that's when y'all are going to want to get right and try to come get answers from the prophets. But in that case, it's going to be too late for a lot of you. We saw a little example of that during that whole C-19 situation. A lot of brothers as family members and so-called friends in the world were coming out of the woodwork asking questions about what's going on. I know you're into that Bible stuff, etc., etc. But as things, so-called got better, hey, they went back to the world. And in a lot of instances, they just waxed worse. So for a lot of you, when this time of Jacob's trouble really kicks off and you're looking for answers and you just happen to come across a prophet, a lot of y'all are going to receive this answer. And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Then shalt thou tell them, thus saith Yahweh, such as are for death to death, and such as are for the sword to the sword. You're going to get put to death horrifically. You're going to get sent to a concentration camp and tortured to death. You're going to get killed by one of these Edomite skinhead supremacists out here. Hey, you're going to get killed by one of your own people robbing you because there's food shortages out here. You're going to get drafted and go fight in World War III and die. You're going to get burned up by a nuclear missile. And such as for the famine to the famine, and famines of biblical proportions are coming, we're just going to take a lot of you people, especially the wicked of our people, off the face of this earth. And such as are for the captivity to the captivity, again, during a state of martial law, getting sent to a detention center and having all manner of hostile like shit done to you. There was a Edomite named Tex Mars who did a book called American Gulag, where he was giving some examples of some of the things that people that are deemed enemy of the states are going to go through when they get sent to those concentration camps. And it included thumb screws, chainsaws, saws, lasers, etc., etc. Hey, nothing good coming to the wicked of our people for their refusal to return under their power. And hey, you heathens, you've got no chance. You don't got a snowball's chance of salvation. Verse 3, here's the main point I wanted to get to. And I will appoint over them 4 kinds, saith Yahweh, the sword to slay, and the dogs to tear, and the fowls of heaven, and the beasts of the earth to devour and destroy. Hey, those spirits created for vengeance, those teeth of wild beasts, animals out here who have changed their natural course and are roaming the streets, attacking people, from the spirit of the Most High being on them to attack them. Or hey, these animals are going to be hungry out here too due to the food shortages. A lot of you people are going to look like a tasty piece of meat. And Apostle Gabar did a video a couple of weeks ago showing that there's been an uptick in birds just randomly attacking people. And he brought up an example of that movie, The Birds by Alfred Hitchcock, which that movie isn't going to hold a candle to when these animals really start attacking you people out here. But that's it with this lesson. With this lesson, I hope your sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.